Hey up now then folks, and welcome back to Robbie 19 with this McCormick International B1-32 plough, which was made for the B450 back in December 1958. They also made a B1-42 which we've also got in the shed, and then a year later they made a B1-34 which is a 3-furrow big digger plough but on the 4-furrow frame. And in this video I'm just going to show you how I've turned it into a match plough for the local ploughing matches and what I've done to get it to this state, because when we bought it, it didn't have any discs or skimmers on it. What have we bought? Got sent this by Stu Wilson at York Machinery Sale, lot number 3616. I think I've bought it for £220 plus VAT and commission. I did twig that was needed welding. I was hoping to buy the other plough and get it for parts, but it made, well, I think it made silly money, but obviously somebody else has bid it up, because I didn't bid it up to, I think it was 300 quid it sold for, so I didn't bid it up to that. Don't know if they're alright or not. I'll have a go at cleaning them up. But the other thing I've twigged, I did twig after I'd bought the bloody thing, was there's a bit of a bend in this arm up here. And the first thing I noticed when I walked in through the door was that furrow stuck up. And other two look fairly flat to trailer. So I'm not sure where that's bent from. It has proper wheel on it. We have a spare one of them down there. That I got off Roger, I think it's Roger Ellis, that came with a load of bits, but I quite like the look of the spoked one. That's had some abuse, although it turns nicely. Charlie says he wants to have a go at freeing this handle off, don't you? It's happy birthday, Zoe. What a lovely present. It's a late birthday present, but it's better than no birthday present. The B1-32 plough would supersede the B300, which was basically a converted 3-furrow trailer plough, the B8A. It also was available as a 2-furrow B200 with the option of Category 1 or Category 2 linkage, built from 1952 to 1958 for the Super BWD6 and Super BMD. Before it ended, in 1957 it ran alongside the B12 and B13, which was a lightweight frame plough only sold on Category 1 pins. Later in 1959 a 4-furrow option, or added on furrow and strengthened pack, could be bought to acquire a B141 plough, as well as the release of the B151, a 5-furrow lightweight plough. However, this would be bulked up and would be sold on Category 2 pins only. If you're interested in these other ploughs I've mentioned, then the Tractor and Machinery magazine have done an article on this back in February 2024 issue, and also the International Harvester Heritage did as well from autumn 2019 through to autumn 2020. So after Zoe had knocked off most of the rust with the wire wheel, I noticed it was only the soil holding the third point in the air. After that I then proceeded to clean the plough off with a plastic polybush disc in the grinder, before then using a polishing set for a better finish, which John Scott, an avid watcher of the ploughing match videos, told me about, and as you can see I used it on the B1-42 plough as well as on the 3-furrow. Anyway, let's take a look at the plough we're going to be looking at and see how it turned out on the 3-furrow B1-32 plough. Not only do I enjoy collecting the ploughs and tractors, but if I come across memorabilia on the internet that's even better, especially when it's for sale, such as this lovely B450 and International B1-42 plough poster, along with this sales brochure that I managed to buy for the 3 and 4-furrow plough with various details, but you also really need the operator's manual to know how to set them up. In the original sales brochure it's nice to see the different choice of bodies and shares that could be fitted to the plough, many of which have started to gather up, along with the different skimmer and arm arrangement that could be fitted along with the discs. In the early bit where it was in the trailer you could see the landslides were either non-existent or badly damaged and bent, and the only way to get them off was to turn the nuts and bolts into a liquid. Just using this metal worker to make a few landslides.
For the plough?
Yeah. This is going to be our back one, rather than buy a load of new ones. And we're using one at front ones for the front holes to line up, and then back one is all mangled up, so I've just been using that for back two. And then I think I'll fit that adapter thing on. Just got the two little ones to do there now. Double check them, and then the big ones. I have just gone slightly bigger with the holes. Maybe a reason why is because these are too big for the original. I might put some smaller bolts in, but they'll allow for a wobble room on the plough. Whether they'll fit or not, I'm not sure. Get the original bolt anyway. Last time I just tried grinding it like that, and it's going to look crap in it. So I'm thinking of just going with my little grinder thing that I've got now. See what I can do. In the end, I haven't used these M12 B30 or 35 plough bolts because they're just too big. They wanted M10s really. So I've put some M10s in them, just normal M10 bolts by 50, and then just ground the backs of them off at an angle. Same with them, but they're M16 bolts, I think, of them. Made them fit. I have used these on that bit there, but I don't know, I think I'm maybe wasting my time. Probably would have been better for a longer bit, like I have on the 4 plough. I just thought I'd just see what it'd be like, but it's a bit of a gap there. Also, I've used, I think it's 150 by 12mm. It's 12mm plate by 150 wide. It could do to be deeper really, because it's not covering that bottom there. So I don't know what it'll be like when it gets in ground. And same there, just to say, and then just shined them up a bit so they aren't bad, are they? Just waiting for discs, but apparently Westlake's lost them, so I'll see what he finds me. In the operator's manual, on the left hand side of this page is a B134 plough frame, and in the middle is a B132, and at the right hand side I thought was a B134. However, that doesn't make sense as it's missing the third stay, and it wouldn't correspond with the stub beam positions on this page, which makes it identical as the B132. However, you would just put the stub beams on the inside at the top for either a 10 or a 12 inch furrow, depending on what plough we're talking about, or a 12 or a 14 inch furrow on the outside. Now I know that my B132 plough is set on the outside for a 12 inch furrow, matching up to the B134, which is a fixed 12 inch furrow position, because obviously you can't alter them. In the parts section of the operator's manual, we can see the general purpose body here being a 2-part piece, with part 8 being a wearable shin. The 3 furrow plough I have is all the same as this, whereas the 4 furrow is 50-50, 2 like this, 2 with a solid body. So for anyone wanting to know what wheel centres to run for these ploughs, here we have the furrow whips, which I run a 12 inch furrow, which is fixed for the 4 furrow. Whether you could use the other furrow width dimensions, such as the 10 inch for the other lightweight ploughs in the international range, I'm not sure, but that'll give you a rough idea. Luckily, the standard B450 that I got has Sankey back wheels, which means they can be adjusted, and in the operator's manual it says they go from 64 to 84, but that's outside to outside. So all I did was just swap the left and right wheel round so that the disc curve was more inward. And as you can see, it just fits underneath that mudguard a lot better now. So quite a few weeks went by, if not months, before he got back in touch to say he'd found 3 discs that would fit the plough. So as soon as I got them, I cleaned them up. Just have a look what we did for that cast iron. Oh, plough disc gone. Body of plough. The other two are alright on it, it's just this one that's not very good. So I'm not eating it up. Got 2 discs on them. So I'm just taking grease nipples out for the WD-40. Just giving a bit of a clean out. Making sure they spin round. And then I'll maybe pack them full of grease and then see if I can get the grease nipple to work and put a load in. Just set them up there. I have bought a book on these ploughs, so hopefully now to set them up without having to rely on Stu. So I believe there was 2 different kinds of discs. This is more like a Ransomes disc that you see on the blue ploughs, where you can alter the angle of the disc. I'm not sure why you would do that, but I have seen when the teeth wear out, they spin round as it's going, or they hit stone, and that can be a bit of a nuisance. So I think I prefer the 2 solid coulter ones where they come down 2 together. But I think that's the kind I was looking at getting off Westlake, but they'd lost them. The disc coulters on this plough are of single arm and can be altered 4 ways. Now the first 3 mainly can be altered on the coulter clamp bolts at the top. So you can slide the round bar up and down, you can then slide it on the plough front and back, and then you can also alter the angle of the offset on the round bar left and right. And the final one, which is to tilt the plough discs. You want to use the limiting collar screw to adjust the disc so it's ½ an inch wider than the furrow, but you can always run it a bit narrower in firmer soils or a bit wider in softer soils to stop it crumbling. The plough disc coulter wants to be 1¼ to 1½ inches above the ploughshare or sock, or lower in shallower ploughing, marking out such as your first scratch or soft land, and then raised up a bit higher if you're ploughing a bit deeper or it's trashy or stony and hard going. The 4 furrow B1-32 plough is running a double arm disc coulter, which can be adjusted a similar way, it just can't tilt. As you can maybe see, I'm running the more basic skimmer arm setup, as that's all I can really get my hands on, and to be fair, I don't think they do a bad job. They can be altered and tilted with the nuts at the back and then altered again on the skim, whereas these are the new fully adjustable jointers which my brother's running, but whether they make much difference I don't know. I'd have to leave it for someone in the comments to answer that. So one thing I want to do is to adjust this back furrow here, because as we measure them in new money, that to there is about 680mm, or just a bit less than 27 inch, and this one here is the same, which is 680mm and 27 inch. And when we measure that one there, roughly the same place, that's about 680mm or 27. When we measure this one, it's 660 or just under 26 inch, so I want to nip that furrow back a bit further to try and even the furrows out. Whether it's been noticeable in the ploughing I've been doing. And to do that we have to just shorten this stay here. And the other thing I'd like to do is try and get these weights on back end at beam rather than where they are there, so I can adjust the discs a bit, because that one looks lifting up a bit and it's a bit numb when you've got these weights in there. And plus my brother's been a bit of a bugger and sold them without me knowing. I went to the shed and I thought, where's them weights gone? So he sort of kick-started the idea of what I've been toying with, was to make some weights go underneath the plough so that when you look from the back end you can't see them. We want more into the next one then, don't we? When I need to bust something to bung it all up. Just sort of rushed ahead and fitted this bit of checker plate. So that's second one at the back. First one's already in. So I managed to get a bit of checker plate welded on, little dab there, little dab there. And then there's 2. I've weighed them, they're about 9kg lead weights that I've melted. And I've welded them around back somehow, managed to squeeze in tight gap. And I've welded underneath as well, which I'm hoping that weld will hold as I go down the road, which I think it will do. And then my idea is to do the same with that checker plate, put another piece in there, so that them weights are also sort of somewhat moulded to there. Now I think them weights that I had on before, I had 4 of them, because 3 of them weren't enough. I think they weighed about 14kg, so there was 1 there, there was 2 in the middle when I had it somewhat like right, and there was 1 there. And so what we've got here is 2 12kg weights at the back, and then they're about 9 or 10kg. So there isn't as much weight as what there was before, but because it's further over that point there and hopefully compresses it round, we maybe won't need as much. However, there is still a bit of gap underneath the beam to get a few more in. I've just got some checker plate on my brother's skip and then just welded them on with some L brackets just to hold them in so they don't come loose going down the road. Well, that's all folks for resurrecting this strong B1-32 beam plough from the 60s into a match-winning plough with the age-related McCormick B450. There's quite a few other videos on this page to do with the International Harvester McCormick merger, as well as a bit of steam to wet your whistle, which I'll leave you some links to at the end, and thanks for watching. If you think I've missed anything, please do leave it in the comments.
Oh dear, schoolboy error.
Faster.